Welcome back to the Positive Shift Summit. Your host for this session is Jennifer Takagi. Jennifer is a certified high-performance coach and energy healer, as well as the host of the Destined for Success podcast. She has another amazing guest coming right up. Take it away, Jennifer.
Thank you. And I'm so happy to be here on another Positive Shifts. And I love your title, Traycee. I'm like a little bit verklempt here, get myself tongue-tied. Choosing a path of love and kindness. There are so many times when people choose the hatred and the meanness instead of love and kindness. And I want to go more towards the love and kindness. We were having conversations over the long weekend about how people are showing up and how they're acting. And we have a choice in every moment how we want to show up and how we want to act and react. I cannot wait to hear more about this. Welcome, Traycee.
Thank you, Jennifer. I'm super excited to talk to you about this.
I love that you're an expert in helping leaders leverage the strengths of human connection to achieve explosive success in their own careers. Like, the human connection is everything. And when I look back over my career, most of the times when things went awry, it was communication and connection that were impacting them. Why don't you tell us a little bit about how you got on this path and how you ended up showing up how you do today?
Okay. Well, thank you again. And I'm just honored to be here today. There's been so many great speakers already, and I just feel honored to be amongst all of these great professionals and life experiences that everyone is sharing. So about 3 years ago, I took a hike in a place in this canyon that I had hiked for many years and mountain biked. And on this one particular morning, something was transforming in me. And I didn't know it at the time, but I was by myself. I was down deep in the canyon, and suddenly something made me stop. And I kind of looked backwards, I looked forwards, and I just was stuck in that moment of reflecting on the paths I had traveled in my life and what was before me. And I was 55 at the time, and I say that because that was important for me because I was reflecting, and even in that moment, that I really felt that all the decisions had been made for me. I had made them in my life up to that point, and nothing really was going to happen other than those decisions unrolling. But what I learned and what became apparent to me at that time in trusting the unrolling of my true self was that all those paths and choices I had taken would be reflected on where I had to go in the future, or where the options I had. So I started dictating these notes into my phone that day about the different paths that we have in front of us, those that we can take. Some are slippery slopes, some are very steep slopes, some are high, some are low, confusing, etc. And lo and behold, 3 years later, or 2.5 years later, it became the foundation of a book I released last fall. But the path is representative of the choices that we can take. And I reflected during that particular walk that often I had gone to places I didn't want to go to, and they were trying to be what other people wanted me to be. And as soon as I figured out at that particular transformational moment that I was old enough to have had enough life experience to realize I could be who I wanted to be, and I can embrace that side of me that's loving and kind. And yes, I was in leadership for 40 years and still am in that workspace and train other leaders to embrace that part of themselves, that as a human being, choosing a path of love and kindness is a really healthy, positive contribution to the world and to our own lives and livelihood. Yeah.
And what is your book?
My book.
The Leadership Contradiction. I found it.
Okay. Yeah. So the subtitle is Choosing a Path of Love and Kindness. And I, wanted to focus on what that really meant today. But yes, of course, if you want to know more, you could read the book too. It's available on Amazon.
Oh my gosh, I love that. So that is kind of what you're basing your work on now, right? Is
Yes.
through the book. Yes.
Yeah.
So like I had a few pivotal moments in my life where I was like, this is not who I want to be and how I want to show up. Like this, I had a situation where I had a really horrible boss, and after years of a horrible boss, all of a sudden I realized I was acting like the horrible boss. Like you just get it so much, and then you're like, wait, no. So in addition to your hike and having that, I get to choose paths. Like what, I guess I'm going to ask it this way. What propelled you to get on that path of love and kindness and not step off? Because it's like in first grade, my report card said Jennifer's a really good student, but she talks too much. And so every year I would go to school and I would make a pact on my way to school to second grade. I'm not going to talk too much. And guess what? Like every year it
Yeah.
was the same thing. So like yeah, it was not congruent with me. So
Yeah.
how did you get on this path and choose to stay on it? Because I want to be on it.
Okay. Well, and I laughed because my report card said the same thing, Jennifer. So yeah, A student, but I talk too much. So I found that recently and it made me laugh again. Well, it was a lifelong process. I had a chance to reflect when I wrote the book about my leadership style and how I had started managing a small clothing store when I was 15 years old, because I only had like half a day of school. I was almost finished with high school, and I was a really good student. And I really started way back then. And I think that it took 20 years later for me to realize that's how I wanted to be. I just always wasn't like that. And I wasn't able to be like that, I guess. And yes, I was becoming part of that corporate environment where you had to do things that you didn't want to always do to fit in with others, to be respected, especially 30 plus years ago as a young female executive. I had certain things I needed to do. I needed to go out to lunch with all the other executives and C-suite colleagues, and I had to have a double scotch at lunch, sometimes two. I had to do these things that ended up being slippery slopes for me. Now I chose them. Nobody forced me, but it felt like the peer pressure at the time to be accepted into the corporate environment that I wanted to be in required things of me, to be out late every night cocktailing and come back to work the next day and perform, right? So fast forward, 17 years ago now, I made a decision that in my life, personal and professionally, I was going to choose to live a sober lifestyle, to be healthier and spiritually and physically and all of that. So for me, that helped me get on the path of being truly who I was and being able to not worry about what other people thought about whether or not I participated in things that weren't healthy for me, but I was true to myself and realized that I could have that softer side. I could be loving and kind to my employees. And in some places, I managed 180 employees and others 600. So always a lot of people that I was able to impact. And I felt like with my spirit and my heart in the place that I really would flourish more, I could help other people and impact them greatly. So that's how I've gotten on my path. I think it's making a decision that we get to be who we are and stop worrying about what other people think who we should be.
Well, you reminded me of a time I was fairly young in my career, and I was with the federal government, and I was with the Department of Housing and Urban Development, HUD. And we had an apartment complex and they had some problems. And when I talked to the management company, she said, well, the owner said we had to do it this way. And I knew it was wrong, but you follow the owner. And I remember talking to my boss at the time, and I was like, well, this is what happened, and this is what she said, and that's why they didn't comply. And I remember her looking at me and she said, nobody said she had to work for him.
Mm.
And I was like, wait, what? But it was that moment of I don't know, enlightenment for me that, oh, wait, just because somebody tells you to do it when you know it's wrong, you don't have to, because you get caught up in it. And this apartment management company was like, oh, the owner said we had to do it this way, we have to. And it was like, wait, but you don't. Like, you can tell them no. And if they fight you on it, then you can, you can quit. There are other complexes out there. Like, there's another way to make a living. So when you were telling that of, oh, I had to go to lunch and I had to have not one scotch but two, like, yeah, that would be a lot for me, because I don't like scotch. So I would have
I don't either anymore.
yeah, it would have
Yeah.
been a bad choice for me too, all the way around, because like we're
Yeah.
kind of in the same little bracket there. Wow, so you just made a decision. So do you have a suggestion for us to be able to make that choice consistently? Do you have some strategy or methodology you use to embrace that in every moment?
Yeah, I really focus on being true to myself. It's easy for us, and I think that I listened to another speaker earlier this morning, and the conversation was about, we are trained as children to have to conform and to be a certain way. And I think with that scenario, we become kind of ingrained in us this idea that we need to be a certain way and go a certain path. We don't have a lot of options, as children, we're kind of told what to do until we're 18, and then when we're 18, we screw up a bunch, and parents want to know why. Well, because we weren't able to make any decisions, we weren't able to make any choices, and for some of us, and including myself, it takes a long time, a lot longer to get to the point where we actually feel like we are able to make our decisions, or we trust ourselves. So I believe, making a choice that's good for us is trusting ourselves. I think it's all very interlinked. And so doing some things that I've been doing over the last couple of years, particularly self-care, self-love, spending time building trust for myself of my own opinion, my own directions, my own way of doing things. And realize that it's not going to make other people happy. In fact, my last boss was probably the least happiest with the fact that I had changed to this person who was now embracing their own true self and trusting that I could do things the way that I would, and I would still be successful and still be qualified. And in fact, today, my coaching business is so strong based on helping people kind of break free of that feeling of we have to do what other people want us to do, as opposed to doing what we know is right for us.
And part of that, I would think, would come from listening to your intuition, because it's listening to what you know is right, what you want to do. I was working with a client one time about listening to your intuition, and the question was, well, how do I do that? Like, I don't trust myself. You use the word trust. I love that too. How do I do that? And I said, when you have a little idea, grab the umbrella. Just go ahead and grab the umbrella. Don't fight back. Don't look at the app to see if it's going to rain or not. Just grab the umbrella. You may need it, you may not, but those are the little things. And I got a call the next week, and he had left the doctor's office and they were going to call in a prescription. And he got halfway to his car and thought, I bet that prescription is ready. And he turned around to go back in, and he just barely stepped inside the doors when his phone beeped that you have a prescription ready. Otherwise, he would have gotten in his car, gotten in the middle of traffic, and then been irritated, right, about having to go back and, circle back to get there. So, do you have any additional ideas on how to start trusting yourself? Because we can get other people's stories that are driving the bus. And if we want to take over driving the bus, what suggestions do you have? I shared my one suggestion. I'm sure you have better ones.
Well, the topic of my talk today, choosing a path of love and kindness. I believe that if we approach the world and the people that we come across with love and kindness, that it'll start kind of reverberating through our entire life as this is the way that we are. And there's something about our intuition and trusting the universe that positive energy, and we're talking about positive transformation today, that positive energy will start directing us towards the things that are right for us to do, but also I don't think it's all about ourselves in the way of it's only about our path. I think it's also about how do we impact the people around us? And it doesn't mean our family and friends and the people we work with, but complete strangers. I think that the biggest impact that I can have and that I've enjoyed having the last few years is having that impact with complete strangers. I have these little things called thoughtfuls. They're little cards, cardboard cards. I keep them in my briefcase, in my pocket, in my purse, wherever I am. My friends always go, there she goes. I'm going to go give this to someone. And, so when I go to a restaurant or I'm on an airplane traveling for business and I'm getting off the plane, I'll hand someone this little card and just, smile at them and say, thank you for, your service today. Thank you for, sharing your smiles with everyone. And I hand them this card and it's just a little positive message. And, I talk about in my book as well, this one day I was going through the Starbucks drive-through and I could hear the girl crying at the counter because people were all yelling because they were already out of syrup for this special holiday coffee, right? We've all, we know which one that is. And I get up there and she looks at me like she didn't even want to hardly talk to me because the poor girl had been so beat up by the people ahead of her. And I said, what do you suggest? I understand you're out of the pumpkin spice latte, and she goes, well, this blah, blah, blah. And I said, fine, that sounds perfect. Let's take the other one. And I handed her one of these cards and I said, I hope your day gets better. And she went and got my coffee, came back, and she was in tears. She said, everybody has been telling me how awful I am today because we didn't have this, and you just changed things for me. And at that moment, it reminded me that every opportunity I get to make someone else's day better, to share with love and kindness, the better I am equipped with making decisions for myself. Because I know that bringing myself down to a human level will help me really navigate where I need to go with life. So that would be my other suggestion.
One year was New Year's Eve, and my husband and I went with our good friends for dinner, and the place was packed. It was New Year's Eve, and this man kept not being called up for his table. And finally he walked up like for the seventh or eighth time and it was like, and they had the little buzzer things. And he was like, is my table ready? And they're like, no, sir, it's not. And you could see it was, everything was packed. And he threw the thing down and went, I'm leaving. Take me off the list. And I went, oh my gosh, sir, I think you can go to, and I listed a fast food restaurant. I think you can go there. I'm sure there's not a line on New Year's Eve. And the whole place just started clapping. And then I had like 4 servers come up and they were like, thanks for taking up for us. But the person that you're dealing with is typically not the person who really is in charge, right? And so just give them a little grace, a little kindness.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Our world could change so rapidly if all of us would just do one nice thing for a stranger each day.
I went through a drive-through the other day and I was like, thank you. And she was like, taken aback that I said it nicely, but like she gave me my change and my food. So what did I have to complain about? So yeah. Oh my gosh, love and kindness. Well, Traycee has an awesome gift for us and I'm looking for it. Oh, 6 leadership behaviors to drive peak performance. I love that. And we talked a little bit in the green room before
Yeah.
we came live about how, like, any type of personal development, leadership development that you take, that you embrace, that you learn from, like you can use in all the different facets of your life. It's not just, a one and done, it's everywhere. And it looks like, So Marge, do we have a link for that, or do people need to email the support desk to grab her gift? I'm not seeing a link on there.
Yeah, there should be a link, and I will just say that the 6 tips, of course, one of those is activating an environment of love and kindness. These are really these are based on actual case studies of things that I've done with work with leaders, but it also can be your, as a leader of a family, as a leader of a community group, as a leader amongst your friends, or just general good, better behavior, let's just say, than many of us portray as we go through life. So please take a copy of that, and it'll help all of us.
All right, so I am not seeing the link. So if everyone will just email support@speakersplayhouse.com and put Tracee's free gift in the subject line, we will get that to you. And other speakers, some of the speakers have VIP gifts if you're VIP. So not only do you have the possibility of getting hold of the VIP gifts, you also get the replay. We have 47 speakers today. I think it's 45 because we had a couple that had emergencies and couldn't be here, but 45 speakers. You have the opportunity with VIP to see all the recordings for everyone. So be sure to do that and get VIP so that you can have access to all the speakers. And I'm coming up next. I think I'm at the top of the hour. I'm a speaker on track 1, and they're going to drop in the chat the track 2 and 3 speakers. And so you have choices, but if you don't want to make a decision, just get VIP. You get them all. So Traycee, final parting words for our guests.
Thank you, Jennifer, for taking the time to talk with me today. My final parting comment is I challenge each of you to go out today and take a moment to interact with a complete stranger. Ask how they're doing today. Tell them they're doing a great job. Give them a smile. Just take a moment and see what reaction you get, and realize that you can make a difference by sharing love and kindness. And it doesn't have to be a stranger. It can be someone that, at your workplace. Yes, sometimes people will be taken aback, but it's going to change their day, and it'll change yours too.
We are so much more powerful than we think we are.
Mm-hmm. True.
Thank you, Traycee. And thank you, everyone, for being here with us. I'm a speaker on track 1, Kelly Rudolph on track 2, and Catherine Clift on track 3. Grab your link to get VIP. And thanks again, Traycee. I look forward to seeing everybody in the next session.
Thank you, Jennifer. Take care.